Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis. And thank you, as always, for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we are the midway point of the bye week. Wish we had a game to talk about, but instead we got the bye week to talk about. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But guys, how we feeling on this Wednesday, on this hump day of the bye week?
Not too bad. It's a little bit different without a game. I don't know that any of these days mean anything now if we don't have Saturday to count down to, except we actually get to just kind of chill and watch college football. So that's something to be excited about.
I'm feeling good. And I can't get over the fact that this is just the first of 2 bye weeks. And so this is just this is an appetizer bye week. And I cannot overstate this. We talked about it a lot last week, how much Arkansas needed a win and some good vibes going into the bye week. Think about how depressing all these shows would have been had Arkansas just lost like 37-14 against Tennessee, and the fans were angry and nobody was watching the show. Like, it just would have a whole different vibe. And so regardless of how we feel today, it's better than we would have.
Yeah, and it's just going to be nice to be able to, go out and have a college football weekend where we can enjoy that college football weekend and not have to worry about people being pissed or people being upset or people being way too happy and over the top and drinking the Kool-Aid. It's going to be nice just to have a little bit of a nice neutral state here this weekend. But we'll still have plenty of football to talk about today, folks, because I know we're going to get into some of the updates Sam Pittman provided in his SEC teleconference, and we'll also get into some other fun things here on a Remember Wednesday and things that we'll have to go back and remember. We'll also have a What's More Likely to Happen presented by BetSaracen. Always fun that. And, of course, your chats. You're welcome to get in on the chat. We'll try to get to as many of them as possible. And you can also call in here on the show at 478-344-6623. That's the number to call in, because apparently I ended the phone lines a little too early yesterday because people were trying to call in about their airline and airport knowledge. So I apologize about that. So we'll leave it open just in case one of those topics come up, so people can discuss it. But one of the things I feel like we've been asked pretty much every single day in our Inside Arkansas Live in the chat and asking us to give an update, even though we provide updates on it and be able to talk about it each and every time, has been about Taylen Green and the situation with him, because he took a pretty nasty hit there in the Tennessee game, came out for a bit, tried to come back in, and it just wasn't working out for him. Sam Pittman said in his post game had to do with something with the MCL. They were hopeful to get him back. But on the InsideArkansas.com, as we wrote up there, that Sam Pittman on his SEC teleconference says, after 6 weeks in a row, I think everybody's beat up a little bit. This bye week comes at perfect time. And also says that we don't think it's an MCL now, more of a bone bruise, very, very sore on him. Hopefully he'll be back by LSU. But it's kind of be day to day. Our diagnosis was that they're not any ligament damage. So for those of you who are wanting a Taylen Green update, I feel like that's about as good as news as you could ask for in this situation.
How many things is the Arkansas training staff going to mistake for a bone bruise or call it something, and then it turns out to be a bone bruise? It's crazy how much we've heard that here recently. But yeah, I mean, that's good. That's a promising sign for sure on Taylen there, and we'll see. I know Pittman was on the Chuck and Bo show or whatever this morning and was kind of doing the CYA on that conversation of where we're hopeful he'll be back, but we don't know if he'll be back. And we think he could be back, but we're not sure he will be back. You know how it is. And that's just the way it's going to be up until next weekend. And honestly, that's how it should be. But good to hear that they don't think there's any ligament damage. And man, shout out to Sam Pittman for making that like the most productive SEC teleconference in history, because he touched on damn near the entire roster in terms of injuries and where things stand. But Andreas Postka, they're waiting on some concussion protocol stuff to come back from him, some testing stuff. Feels good about Luke Has. Ty Washington should be back by Monday. Kyle Ramsey, they said a significant injury, and he's going to miss quite a bit of time there. So it's Matthew Shipley's world now at kicker. Kudus back at practice. Jalen Braxton, they think will probably be back. What'd he say? He'll be ready by Thursday. So, sounds like the bye week's a perfect time to get healthy, and maybe they'll actually do that. We'll see.
It is kind of crazy that without an opponent in the bye week teleconference, this is the most informative we've ever had, because we come on the show every Wednesday and we're like, we got nothing out of the teleconference. He didn't touch on anything we wanted him to touch on, but there was no opposing team to ask Sam Pittman about his offensive line or ask him what he thinks of their traditions or anything stupid like that. So we got some real stuff. And I'll just say this, if the Jalen Braxton situation had not happened and we didn't have the whole bone bruise, tendonitis, weird thing going on, I would be jumping for joy based on the Taylen Green update that we got. Just because, you think based on when we saw that injury, bone bruise would have been like the best case scenario. Now, the reason I'm not jumping for joy is because, one, this is coming from the mouth of Sam Pittman, who is notorious for kind of being a little weird on injury updates, and they've misdiagnosed one bone bruise already. So I'm not going to be too like waiting on a positive update from that, but we'll see how it plays out. But it does seem like a positive step in the right direction. What it sounds to me like with Taylen is if they had a game this weekend, it would be one of those things where you're like maybe trying to rush him into action and not feeling great about it. But the fact that they don't play and they don't play till next weekend seems like it's going to work out pretty ideal for him, but we'll see what they say next week. Kyle Ramsey, hate to hear that on him. I really just didn't think it was, I just didn't think kickers would suffer like serious injuries that often. Definitely not 2 in 1 year because he got hurt in fall camp too. I'm very surprised to hear the Patrick Kudus update that he's back to practice like that. That was a little bit surprising to me. And Jalen Braxton, it's about time. And let's hope they can get him back. But overall, I was happy to hear some like real definitive updates so that we don't have to kind of do we'll see. We'll see next week. And we do still need to kind of wait this out a little bit because it'll be a lot different Monday and then next Wednesday. But overall, I was happy to get some real updates from the head hog.
We'll have to see exactly, what next Wednesday in their SEC teleconference and see, of course, the press conferences, injury reports, and what ends up actually coming out to be true. But yeah, the Patrick Kudus to me it was without question the biggest surprise because I honestly think we even talked about it. It didn't seem like he was going to be coming back maybe even this year, much less back here at the midway point. But let's just look at that and assume that he's back at practice and he's playing and everything, and he's ready to go. Do you just throw him in there as the starter against LSU? Because being out, I don't know much about the ins and outs of injuries and coming back from them, but not playing for 6 games of the year, not getting in that conditioning of kind of going from the easier games to the SEC scheduled games, missing portions of fall camp. I really like Patrick Kudus, and we know he's a really good offensive lineman, but is that just something where it's like, hey, if he's healthy, all right, stick him in there. Sorry, Marion Harris, we'll wait on you. I just don't know how they're going to handle that if he is actually ready to play.
It'd be easier if the offensive line was as bad against Tennessee as they were Texas A&M, because then you'd be like, oh, hell yeah, get him in there. But yeah, I don't know, man. You're right. It's tricky. It's going to be interesting to see. I wonder if Arkansas is going to do at some point this week or maybe over the weekend, the deal that they usually do on the bye week where they get, the red shirts and guys who aren't playing, get a little scrimmage, get some live action. And then maybe that's an opportunity to get Kudus out there and see how he looks and as close to a game simulation as you could get. And then maybe if they're comfortable with that, they ramp him up. But yeah, I don't know, man. We talked yesterday about the potential of moving Harris outside, but then do you just move Blackstock inside or what do you do? Might depend on how adamant they are about doing that, because if they're real serious about trying to move Harris, out to tackle, and they think that he could be the answer out there, then maybe you just have a good old fashioned battle at guard on the inside. I don't know but you're right, man. He's been out so long. I don't know that you could just plug him right back in there and say, all right, dude, 70 snaps, go for it. So maybe you ease him in. I don't know if that means he starts or not, but good problem to have.
Yeah, you said this the other day that it's really tough to get back into game shape. Not only has he not been playing, hasn't been practicing, and so thankfully there's a bye week where there's a little bit extended time, but it's not one of those things where 3 or 4 days of practice and all of a sudden you're ready to play in the SEC. But I'm glad you mentioned the Harris moving on to right tackle as well, because we talked about this yesterday. We think that's probably something that they would want to do regardless of if Kudus could come back, and so I wonder if they're going to maybe do that switch and then kind of have Kudus waiting just in case, Blackstock's move to the inside doesn't work out, or maybe if a Marion Harris's move to right tackle doesn't work out, they kind of have Kudus there ready to ease in whenever he's needed. But I do think, like you said, it's a little bit tough because the offensive line's coming off of one of, if not their best performances or most encouraging performances of the year. But I think this bye week is a good chance. And really, we're saying bye week. This week of practice is a good week for them to kind of figure out what they can do, who's healthy, who can contribute, so that when you go into practice next week, starting that Monday, prepping for LSU, they'll have a much better idea of what Kudus can do, how healthy he is, if he's close to game shape, and if Amarian Harris is ready to take over there at right tackle and / if Blackstock's ready to work at left guard or whatever the case may be. And so I think these next 3 days at practice, because they'll still practice later today, these next 3 days, whether it's scrimmaging, whether it's just kind of going through drills, whatever, I think they'll start to get a much better idea of what's reasonable for that group moving forward. But overall, man, hard not to be pretty encouraged by the injury updates that we got from Sam Pittman today.
Well, it's even though, again, Bias Brim says here, he says like Kudus, Braxton, and Ty looking like it might be the most healthy we have been all season, which is in reality could be true because, we haven't had Kudus all year long, and you had, of course, Braxton in the beginning part. But this might be the case of the bye week coming at that exact perfect time and being able to actually see what this squad looks like at full health in an SEC game against LSU. So it's very well could be the case. And then also, I love this from Heartbroken Hawk, because he's like, thank God we are done with Kyle Ramsey. And I wanted to talk about this because you mentioned that he could be out for significant time. That could be happening for Kyle Ramsey and the kicker. Here's my thing. I get that it's always, if somebody's struggling, it's always the backup, but it keeps going back to there's a reason why someone's the starter. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that Kyle Ramsey's great, perfect, whatever. But I also don't think that you can just assume that, he's done, so therefore the kicking issues are going to be resolved by bringing in Matthew Shipley. I just don't think anybody can legitimately just think that. And like, oh, yeah, thank goodness. Now we can go to the better kicker that we've just been saving for some reason on the bench and not playing. We're going to go with that. I'm just telling you right now, you're going to say that, and then against LSU, if Shipley goes out there and misses a 32-yarder, then I think everybody's going to be begging for Kyle Ramsey to come back.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's weird that they even called it a battle in camp when the guy who, quote unquote, wins the starting job struggles as much as he does, and the other guy doesn't even get a chance. Like, they didn't even let him kick once during all those struggles. So yeah, I'm with you, John, man. I don't think people might be a little bit too. What is it, like the backup quarterback is always the most popular guy on the team. The backup kicker might be in this case, and that's not always the way it plays out in reality, man, for sure.
I will say this, though. Now, I agree, because anyone who thinks that, like, hey, kicking is resolved and it's just going to be all sunshine and rainbows, from what we saw in the spring at those practices, that's definitely not the case. And by the way, shout out Vito Calvaruso, who is now, I guess, K2 if he's healthy. Now, he's been in and out with injuries or whatever, but what we saw in the spring was Matthew Shipley really struggled, which is why Kyle Ramsey is on the team. But I guess I should just take us back to week 1 when we were stunned that Kyle Ramsey was in there, because kind of the word we had heard throughout fall camp was, hey, Matthew Shipley's responded well to this challenge. He was going 4 for 5 in all the scrimmages and hitting game winners. And we had actually heard that Kyle Ramsey was going 0 for 4 in some of those scrimmages. And so I still am kind of wondering, I don't know if we're ever going to get the story. And of course, we're not watching these guys behind closed doors, but it was a little weird when Matthew Shipley wasn't the kicker to start the year, or at least that's kind of the way we viewed it. So I think there's maybe a path to Matthew Shipley being more solid than folks expect, but I agree that, like, based on the way the spring played out and the fact that they hadn't put him in there at all, perhaps it was an off-field issue, but I definitely don't think we're in a position where, like, hey, kicking is just going to be all perfect here from here on out. But it is, I will say, it's quite the luxury, I guess, if you want to call it that, to have a quote-unquote backup kicker who went, 14 of 19 last year and has kicked a ton at the D1 level and has had some success. So, you could argue Matthew Shipley's overqualified for this role, and so we'll see if he's able to run with it and bring some stability to the special teams.
I'd like to know, like, any time if there is an example where everybody just felt like, when someone got hurt or someone got benched, that it's like that problem just went away. Like, I mean, right. Again, you can be hopeful, and who knows? Maybe it's about gamesmanship. Maybe it's more about Shipley's a better in-game kicker, and they never got to see that in practice, so they didn't go with it. Like, maybe that's the case, and I hope he makes kicks, but I just, what assuming does, as they say, it makes an ass out of you and me. So you don't want to assume that it's just going to get fixed as quickly as possible. So there was another thing, too, that, like David said, Andrew, you said from the jump that Shipley was going to be the guy. Did you say from the jump Shipley was going to be the guy?
Well, like I was saying, all during fall camp, when we were just kind of reading between the lines of what the coaches said, it definitely seemed like that. Like, we were pretty stunned when that first depth chart came out that Kyle Ramsey was the guy, and especially like after the UAPB game, we were like, wait, what? because they didn't kick a field goal, but we noticed that Ramsey kicked all the extra points. Like, we were all kind of surprised by it because it seemed like it was trending that way because Ramsey had been banged up during camp. And so it definitely seemed that way. And so, I mean, we'll see. I really do wonder if there's something beyond the football field. Like if there's like maybe Shipley missed a practice or missed a something or skipped a workout, like something weird like that. Because it's rare that you bring in a guy like Shipley, who's an experienced, been a multi-year starter, and he's not even kicked for you once until you've kind of forced him in there. And so we'll see how it plays out and I mean how it's going to be. But my hope, guys, y'all ready for this? Matthew Shipley can bring a spark to the special teams.
Because they need that spark. They need that spark. That first time that he hits that 52-yard field goal in the first quarter, that's all they're going to need to beat LSU. It's going to get them going. I do like the comment by Hayden. He's like, hey, could Lassiter kick? He does everything else.
Absolutely.
I'm sure he could. We
No
probably
doubt
have
in my
the
mind.
Lassiter family saw our show yesterday.
Good.
We're big with the families, apparently. And
We're a family show. We're a family.
Yeah.
We're family guys.
we're family-friendly show, at least. So
Have you guys noticed that we're getting live trolled by the Arkansas men's basketball account?
I did. I saw this.
Are we?
They just deleted it. They
Yeah.
posted Slobberhog and then deleted it. How about that?
what? Oh, what was it? I didn't see
They posted
it.
a video of like Slobberhog is back and it's on the court, and then they deleted it.
Someone in the chat earlier was saying that they had a girlfriend or a wife or somebody that was working in the arena and saw it and like kind of spoiled it. It was like, yo, it's it's official. Like it's there. But I think that was supposed to be mum's the word.
Hey, well, at least they're at least on the basketball account, they're doing their own creative thing instead of just taking somebody else's bit and doing it for their own, like the Razorback football Twitter account and social media.
By the way,
Jeez,
before we move on, and this is a lot of kicker talk for the first 20 minutes of the show.
It is.
But I see Jeff here says, my question is, how in the world can you have a situation of kicking issues, knowing there have been good kickers in the past? It's like they overlooked recruiting for a kicker. I'll be honest with you. It's really not that they overlooked it. Just the guys they brought in turned out to be duds, which, like, of course, like you got to hold them accountable for that. But like when they brought in Matthew Shipley, we all looked at his numbers and we were like, okay, that makes sense. Like that's a guy you'd bring in to be your kicker. Then he stinks in the spring. So they bring in a guy in Kyle Ramsey who also had some experience. And we looked at his numbers and we were like, okay, that makes sense. He's got some experience. He's been good in the past. It's just kind of unfortunate that they brought in two guys and neither of them were able to really bring that stability. But we'll see if Matthew Shipley's able to do it. But yeah, it's not like they didn't address it. They tried to address it. They just technically addressed it poorly. They even brought back Vito.
Yeah, poor Vito, man. But I mean, all you can do, is go off track record, and both of those guys had them. It's not like that Arkansas, had they not addressed it, then they would just be rolling with like whatever sophomore was behind Cam Little or something, or they would just bring in a freshman and be like, oh yeah, we'll just roll with this guy. I don't know like what the kicker situation looked like in the transfer portal, but I kind of get the sense that Arkansas grabbed two of the better ones and just for whatever reason hasn't quite worked out.
I remember Scott Fountain when he was preseason, when they were talking about it, he even said like he was watching the video of Shipley's kicks and he was like, he thought that his misses were due to their holder. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, I think their holder was actually the reason he missed a few of those kicks. So really he was 14 and 19, but he was really more accurate than that. And so it just adds to why it doesn't really make sense why Shipley didn't play the first 6 games.
Well, also, you got to think about recruiting, too, with that in the kicker side. So, the kicker, just like everything, is so much mental. And there's guys that were in high school that were, All-American, 5-star kickers, whatever you want to call it, that ended up not doing much. You think about, like, Alex Tejada was a very well-renowned, highly recruited kicker. He made some kicks, but it's like you did not live up to that. Or Cole Hedlund, kind of the same thing. But then you got a guy like Zach Hawker, who had a few places, but it wasn't considered to be like this 5-star, and he was one of the best kickers Arkansas ever had. Same with Connor Limpert. So to me, it's just kind of like you never know. You literally never know who's going to end up being good and who's going to end up doing it the right way. So kicking's weird, man, and it's like you never really realize how much you miss a kicker until he's gone, and that's the problem. But people are going to do whatever they want to do with it.
Kicking is weird. Kickers are weird. That's just the way it is, man.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas is the #1 soccer team in the country. Any of those ladies want to give it a whirl? A little Sarah Fuller action? What do y'all think?
Yeah, how do you think that goes?
I'm sure the fan base would react very positively to it.
Mm-hmm. Sure, they would be all on board with it. It would make a lot of sense for them too. So, just trying to get this. See if I can get this going on here, but doesn't look like it's want to do it. Oh, that's why. Okay, never mind. This is it, boys. 100-year chick just tweeted it out. It's a slobber hog, and that's what it looks like.
Am I tripping, or is that smaller?
I don't think
Or
so.
than it,
Like than it used to be?
Well, is it that, or is the 3-point line just moved back more?
well, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can confirm that has happened.
It looks, man, it's just beautiful, you know?
I love that.
Good to have it back.
God, it looks good.
That'll do.
Yep. Good. I'm glad everybody donated their hard-earned dollars to make that happen.
Did you see Yurichek's tweet?
Yeah, he says, Hog, yeah. Thanks to the late 6-figure donation, plus Justin Colemore's concert money, plus an incredible amount of Razorback fans donating to what they could, we have hit our $500,000 goal and match our $500,000 donation to hit the $1 million mark in 1 week. Center court logo added this morning as promised.
Am I nitpicking to be slightly irritated by that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think it's something that I don't know. I wonder if he maybe thought that it wouldn't be as big of a deal or as maybe criticized as much as he thought it would. And so maybe that's where he's like doing his frustrations and coming out. But man,
I mean, I don't know.
He's snarky. A little
yeah,
snarkiness.
a little bit.
We said this last week, and I feel like in light of his most recent tweets, Hunter Yurchek has his finger on the pulse of whatever people are talking about. Like he's very aware of the public perception, public narrative, and he's an interesting cat for sure. His social media game is quite the roller coaster, but credit to him, man. They got it done. I still don't know. I don't know if we're calling BS on them getting that 500,000. Seems like they did pretty well though. So job well done, Hunter Yurchek.
Well, shout out Justin Moore, an anonymous 6-figure donor.
Is he the anonymous 6-figure donor?
I don't know.
I don't think Justin Moore has like that type of. I mean, I know he's got $500,000, but I just meant like you don't give away $500,000 unless you're like a multi millionaire, like 100 millionaire.
And the beauty of this is, it probably cost $10,000 to paint that floor.
That's what I'm like.
They got a milli in the collective now.
It's an exclusive shade of paint, or the wood is a specific thing. It's like, no, it can't be that expensive.
Exactly.
I wouldn't think so, but I'm glad they got it done just in time this morning for that to make happen. So, jeez, man, it's good though. I'm glad it looks good. The only thing about it is, I have to go back. I'm glad they took the stupid state outline thing that looked like crap. So I'm glad that they didn't include that. But did you guys notice something else on the court by chance?
There's Nolan Richardson court, right?
Okay, I only looked for Nolan.
Tyson Foods. Yep, Tyson Foods. And what's weird is it's only on one side of the court.
They're saving that other spot for something.
Gotcha.
I wonder what that is. Because there's no way that they would do that without having the symmetry, unless they had another one to put up there, right?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah. It's going to be Walmart or somebody like that. But
God, it looks good, man.
It does. It does. Place is going to be rocking for that first game where they get to see it. And you know what's funny is none of those players are going to have any idea and any care at all about it. Like, it's not saying in a bad thing, but those great talent, highly talented players are going to go out there and be like, all right, these people really care about this logo, man. All right, cool. They're not going to care.
Fired up. Also, the chat is saying that Walmart is on the other side, but it's just very faint. You can't tell.
Oh, so it's like the end zones and stuff on the football field.
Wow. Well, they need to brighten that one up because I felt like, put the picture up there. Yeah, pull it back up. Okay. If you look really closely, you can see the little yellowish stuff on there.
Yeah.
Is it on the top or bottom?
It's top.
The top, yeah. I wish they had. Good Lord, we see it, people.
Yeah, we got it. We're good.
Y'all act like it's just plain as damn day on there.
Well, yeah, because it's like, why are y'all doing yellow on the court?
I wish they had a different. Yeah, exactly what Rob said. Yellow on tan. I wish they had an alternate uniform. Oh, Walmart,
Yeah, or as they like to call in the design business, a stroke, where you do a little like black outline of the yellow so it pops a little bit more. Something like that would go a long way.
But I am glad. I shouldn't feel this way, but I'm glad that it is their like the logo or whatever, and it's not just Walmart written on the board.
Although that would be kind of funny if it was just Walmart, like just because everyone would be like, "Yep, that's it," or just if I was hoping either that or like there's Walmart, but then there's the Walmart neighborhood market that like has the two different logos for both of them, so something like that.
Oh man,
hit all of them. That's good though.
Be on the jerseys. I I think that's probably coming at some point, but I don't want that, man.
Don't overdo it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just the slobber hog only belong, because that's the only time anyone ever brings it up is that one place. They don't like, man, I wish our jerseys had them. No, like just it's on the court and that's it. Don't ever do it again. Just
what y'all think of the MLB helmets having Strauss? Like they had a sponsorship on a helmet and it looked horrible.
Yeah, not crazy about it.
Yeah, I'm not big on that either. Just do the court. Have the 94 throwback uniforms. Everyone's happy. Like just that's all you got to do. Just nobody's gonna be like, oh well, I kind of like those other logos or anything. No, just don't overcomplicate it. Don't overdo it.
Earl Bender says, "How about FBBN?"
I bet they could raise another $500K for that.
Hunter, your check just needs to start going on heat checks. Like, hey, if y'all can raise $750, I'll put Mark Pope's a dweeb on the inbounds. You know?
No, that would be great if we could start trolling some people. Who knows? If he keeps getting the money, he might end up start trolling some people with it too. The chat was blowing up on that for everybody. Because Rob was like saying, Hunter Yurchek paid attention to what fans wanted to leverage it for donations. It's fantastic work. It is.
I mean, look, you got it. That is exactly what happened. But also, it's like that's kind of his job. That's what he's supposed to do. And so, tip of the cap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad that he was able to do it and just didn't overthink it. And also, like, I wonder if Jeff Long's like shaking right now in anger for seeing that the non-branded Razorbacks on the middle of the floor.
He's still around here. These parts, we can ask him.
Now that would be I would actually give Jeff Long a lot of credit, and if he was the ultimate troll and found a way to go on the court and take a picture with the slobber hog and post it on his Twitter, that would be good stuff. Just trolling everybody. It's like, while he's drinking a Coca-Cola, something like that, to where everyone blamed him for everything. Yeah, that would be great. So, well, cool. Well, I'm glad it's finally done. You can stop giving now to the NIL program. You got your slobber hog.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody in the chat who did give, because I know there's a lot of y'all that do donate, a lot of y'all that pay, whether it's 10, 25, whatever. Seriously, don't want to make light of that, because we respect all that. And then people that pay money, it's like these are the people, like this kind of stuff matters because people are actually donating.
It's almost like getting double dip for your buck too, because it's technically part of the deal to get slobber hog back, but then it's also going to help get you a quarterback or something, Exactly. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, you hope so, at least. You hope so.
You would think, yeah.
So, because when's the first time fans will be able to see it? Like actually them on the court with it? Is it the Kansas game?
Yeah, 25th.
Dude, like what? Come on,
they don't
man.
do it. Hold on.
Come on, man.
They don't do red white before that?
I don't think they're doing red white.
Yeah, we were told that the events down in Hot Springs and in Pine Bluff are considered the red white games, the scrimmages. So maybe I have the same name to it, but that I kind of like that though, because think about it: the first time you get to see it in person, like with is Kansas in an exhibition game. Like that's pretty awesome. So all right. Well, I know everyone's hog's been slobbered now, so we can move on from that. Let's see. Also, David wanted to know, is that a sword? Yes, Andrew, you can explain the sword.
It is a sword. I guess not that many. I mean, some of you were on the stream. I guess it was last Thursday when we were watching the simulation, and I pulled out my granddad's sword, R.I.P. Pops. But I saw it right before I came down here to do the show, and I was like, you know what? I need to wield this on the show today. You never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? It's Wednesday. Things are quiet, but that's when attacks come up. You never know when you're going to need to use it. And also, it's awesome. It's got all the signatures of all the people that were in his command group. It's pretty cool, pretty sweet.
When you had it sitting on the shoulder, I thought you had a bit or something prepared, but I quickly realized you're not going to get caught slacking.
Curtis, as someone who doesn't own a sword, Curtis, you probably don't really get this, but like sometimes when you have a sword and you own one, like you just need to wield it. Like
just carry around.
You don't have to use it, but just so people know, like everyone in the chat knows, if I pull up on Andrew Ellis, that dude's got a sword. So
how many times have you unsheathed it and like held it in your room by yourself, like trying to like do motions and poses and stuff?
I need to do this afterwards, but like I really haven't done a ton of like sword work. Curtis will appreciate this. I feel like Yuri Prohaska, the fighter. He's a big samurai. Like there's a UFC fighter, John, that literally thinks he's a samurai. Like he lives by the samurai code. Like he locks himself in a room for 4 days. Like I'm gonna start doing stuff like that.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, make the most out of it for having a sword. But yes, just to answer that question for those of you who are wondering, it is indeed a sword, and Andrews has it. Let's see. I know we'll get into our question of the day. Let's go ahead and get to some of the phone calls here at 478-344-6623. I know he's been patiently holding and calling in, but it's Trey and Harrison. What's up, Trey?
How you doing, John?
Doing good, Trey.
All right. Well, I had something planned for this after we beat Tennessee. I was like, call in. We were joking the other day whenever Andrew was singing the fight song. I was going to say, turn that dang Andrew on, but it's Tuesday, so that just kind of fell. I was just wanting to say, man, it felt so good, and I can't lie. Whenever Arkansas scored that touchdown against Tennessee to take the lead, I refused to get happy. Like, it's coming. It's coming. We're going to lose. I refuse to do that. And then also, heck yeah, Silverhawks back.
It's true.
And the first time Arkansas beat a top 5 team since I've been alive. The last time was 2007 when I was born. So that's always nice.
Yeah. You got to witness a little bit of history there, Trey.
Yep. First win since 1999, the redemption game. Your favorite game, John?
Yeah, my favorite game. That was great. People forget what happened the next week, but yeah, that was a great game.
Dude, it is kind of crazy how Arkansas owns Tennessee in football.
No doubt.
Like, that's kind of just something to like, it's as quiet as it's kept. Arkansas kind of owns them ever since that the turnover. They've been whipping them up.
It's a thing. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. I'm kind of with him though, in terms of it wasn't when when did we really feel good about that? I don't think we did until it was over, man. Because they quickly got across midfield, and then they're pushing that towards the red zone. I'm thinking this is actually gonna happen, isn't it?
I can tell you the moment where I was happy when they scored the touchdown, obviously, but then it was actually when I saw the replay up on the jumbotron there, because I mean the place was bedlam. I mean it was going insane. I looked up there at the jumbotron, I saw the replay, and I'm like, he let him score. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, because I was like, because in my mind I was like, that is a brilliant coaching move by Josh Heupel in making that happen. And I was like, yeah, they're because then you missed the 2-point conversion. I was like, this is exactly how it's going to go. They're going to go downfield, score a touchdown. I don't even need an extra point or anything like that. Just win it off right. But
they got that long ass pass too, like right away, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. But it was probably when the snap got bobbled from Nico, and then the running back just snagged it and took off running. There's like 15 seconds left. And it was at that point that I started to wonder, like, these guys really, are they built for this? Yeah.
Okay, I got to be honest. I'm not going to try and like pat myself on the back and be like, oh, I knew the whole time. But Curtis can kind of attest, because we watched the final 2 minutes together. I really didn't feel like they were going to blow it. Like, mostly because of just how bad the Tennessee offense had looked in that fourth quarter, and how good the Arkansas defense had looked. But like when they hit that big pass, that was the first time I was like, oh crap, like they, it's not over. But like the whole time, like once they scored, I really did kind of feel like, and maybe that's just me being naive a little bit and got lucky, but I didn't feel like Tennessee was going to put a drive together there. And I don't think Curtis did either until they hit that big pass. We kind of felt like, I don't know, man, like this Tennessee offense is shook. I don't see them scoring. And then they got closer than, like in hindsight, because where do you run out of bounds at? The 15 or something like that? They ended up, in hindsight, it was closer than it felt.
Here's the thing. I mean, maybe you guys felt it. I never felt good. Like even on that play when he was running towards out of bounds, I'm like, there's going to be a holding call. There's going to be something. It's just like I didn't feel good once when that play was going on. But I'm glad that he made a mistake and did that pretty rough too.
So, okay, how do y'all feel about this? Rutabaga says, with a backup kicker, I think it was a terrible decision to let us score. Do y'all agree with that? I will say this, and Curtis and I talked about this a lot, that like, it's not like he's a backup kicker that had never kicked before. And I don't know if Tennessee knew that. Like, I don't know if they had done the research and looked through his bio. But I think this is actually a fair enough, like you can kind of make an argument for it. But I will say Arkansas was inside the 15 though. So it was going to be like a 30-yard field goal anyway.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm a coach and you're Josh Heupel, for instance, what do you have more faith in? that you can lead your offense down for a 2-minute drive or however long was left, a minute and a half, I don't know, but like lead them down for a touchdown drive to win it? Or do you just going to trust some other kicker you've never even seen before to kick a 32-yard field goal? Like, I'd rather trust my offense with timeouts than trust that way. But now if it was like at the 50-yard line or 40-yard line, okay. You know, if they're going to have to line up for a 52, 53-yard field goal, that's one thing. But yeah, I still think it's the right decision.
I feel like I would have like sent the house or something. You know, I just try to get a sack, try to do something crazy on a play there. I get it. And, you know, like it is a kicker who hasn't been kicking. Arkansas has this weird thing about snaps. Like there are ways to screw that up, but it was so close that's tough. But I would have considered trying to make something happen defensively as bad as my offense was playing. But to your point, John, like, I mean, it's Josh Heupel. They're a high-powered offense, whether they were in that game or not. Like, that's probably where you feel the most comfortable.
Yeah. Well, and also, it's not like it was from the snap they let him score. I think once he got outside and got positive yardage, it was like, okay, now we'll let him score. Like, it wasn't like from the outset they were just like clearing the way. If they could have, like to your point, Curtis, if they could have gotten a negative play, I think they would have done it. But I think once he picked up a yard or two, it was like, okay, now you might as well let him score. But my biggest pet peeve is when teams, the NFL does this a lot because the kickers are very good. Once teams like get inside of field goal range, whether that's inside the 30, 20, whatever, they just basically stop running their offense and go ahead and start lining it up for the field goal. And I'm just like, why do that? And Brett Bielema did that against Mississippi State in 2015. And that drove me nuts, where you had a quarterback that was throwing the ball over the field. And he's like, well, we'll just set it up for a chip shot field goal, which ended up getting blocked. And so, like, personally, like, I don't think you should want the game in the kicker's hands, whether you're the team that's in the lead or behind. Like, I hate when football, like, really does come down to the kicker.
Well, and like, reverse the roles, folks. If Arkansas was in that same situation that Tennessee was in and vice versa, would you feel better about just hoping the Tennessee kicker misses the field goal? Or even as bad as your offense has been, would you feel better about getting the ball back with 1:45 with 2 timeouts left to try to go downfield for a touchdown to win it? Like, to me, if I'm a coach, I'm just saying I'd rather me be in control of it than just hope somebody misses it. Like that's my whole thing too. But hey, you won. It doesn't matter. They did them a good call. They made a good coaching decision, and you still won. So that's all that matters.
Arkansas was going to win no matter what, John.
That's right. Yeah, that's what we talked about.
1,000 times. Arkansas was going to beat him 1,000 times.
Can we please,
all right, Hugh Freeze,
consider stopping doing the thing about Tennessee got exposed, they were overrated? Every time you do that, you realize you're taking away from the gravity of the win that Arkansas just had.
Yeah, it's not like
Arkansas balled out and beat a good team.
Yes, it's not. Now, if
he did,
now you know what's exposed is what Missouri did against A&M.
Yes,
that's being exposed. Like, that's being like, oh, okay, so they may not be that good. Now, A&M's really good, don't get me wrong, but that's exposure. You could even say Vandy beating Alabama exposed them a little bit, because there's no reason in God's green earth that Vanderbilt should ever win that game, but they did. So, but beating a team 19-14 at home, where they're number 4 in the country, is not exposing a bad team. Like, you just played better. Because here's the thing, guys. If Arkansas turned the ball over once, Arkansas loses. So they had to do a lot of things themselves to keep from winning.
Yeah. And Heartbroken Hog, like, it's one thing if the national media does that, which, like, I get that from a national perspective, that kind of makes sense, where you have a 3-2 team beats a 4-0 team. Like, it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, the 4-0 team maybe wasn't as good as we thought. But for Arkansas fans to do it, it makes zero sense. It's like the overrated chant. Why would you want your opponent that you're beating to be viewed negatively? And also, I just will say this, like, I'm not going to be surprised if Tennessee finishes 10-2. I'm just not. I haven't looked at their schedule. I have zero doubt that's still going to be a team that's going to give a lot of teams trouble. And that Nico kid, we're going to look back in 3 years and be like, holy cow, Arkansas shut down that Nico guy, who is going to end up being a potential first, second round draft pick. Like, he's that talented of a guy. And so I think it's going to be a win that ages really well for Arkansas.
Tennessee has though their games remaining, they have 2 of Alabama and Georgia. Like, those are tough games. But then after that, other than that, they have Florida at home, Kentucky at home, Mississippi State at home, UTEP, and at Vanderbilt. So 9-3 could be like their worst record, and it's still really good.
They're absolutely still a playoff contender, like, in my eyes. Like, I think they have a very real chance to make the playoff.
Yep, absolutely. Shout out to our chat moderator, Michelle, because apparently people were asking if our super chat was not working. And it's working, folks. It's for sure working. Absolutely working. So, yeah, please do that.
Appreciate your contributions there.
Yeah, just for the cause.
3 feet away from
Curtis,
me.
give her a $1 bill. We're
Yeah.
repay it.
Take care of it.
Yeah, she should have just put it in your pocket while you were over there, too.
Walked and handed it to you.
Would have been good. Also, like the where is it at? Hold on a second. Oh yeah, this is from Daniel. He's like, I have class with Taylen and can confirm he will be in the LSU game per himself.
I like that.
Scoops.
I think he followed up and said that the professor asked him.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah, there it is.
He said my professor also told Taylen as he was signing in on the sign-in sheet one day, you know why I want you to go pro? And he followed with, because I have your autograph now and I can sell it.
I like that.
That's pretty funny.
That's
also,
pretty good.
Also, like, I would 100% be that professor who's like, hey, man, should I bet on your over-under? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, and I also felt like, not that it was like confirmation, but I saw that the offensive line and Taylen Green did some NIL event last night. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, he's playing. Because if he wasn't playing, he wouldn't be, he'd be silent, radio silent, wouldn't be anywhere. So, yeah.
How about Arkansas getting a good break where they don't have a game this week? Because it really would be one of those things where, I mean, I'm sure that if Arkansas played LSU Saturday, he would be talking himself into playing and he'd be going to so much treatment, and you could maybe get him out there, but it wouldn't feel great and it would probably hurt him in the long run. But the fact that they don't play this week really makes me feel like they're going to have a good chance to get him back close to 100%, and it'll be better for everyone involved.
There are certain quarterbacks that you would be okay having in there when they're a little banged up and not as mobile as normal. Taylen Green ain't one of them.
No,
he's got to have the wheels.
100%.
Yeah, and I guess when Pittman went on the official University of Arkansas Sports Talk radio show this morning, when he was talking about Taylen Green, he sounded pretty confident about that, as well as on the teleconference. So yeah, I think we can all just assume that he is going to play. How healthy is he going to be? Healthy enough to play, and that's really all that matters.
And we'll also wait it out. We're like, he could, do his press conference Monday and be like, actually, we got him out there Friday and he looked a little rough, but it definitely seems trending in a positive direction compared to what we thought when he first went down. When he first went down, it was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
That's an injury.
Yeah, it looked really rough there. We had some callers calling in, but they keep hanging up. So, call in at 478-344-6623. We'll get into our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall, the best place to get all of your Razorback apparel. You can shop them online at alumnihall.com/Arkansas-Razorbacks. And you can also visit their location here in Fayetteville, conveniently located at 3417 North College Avenue. We're going to be live there next Thursday. Once again, getting you ready for the LSU game for Inside Arkansas Live starting at noon. So definitely don't want to miss out on that. But great spot, best place to get all the finest of apparel when it comes to the Razorbacks. It's Alumni Hall there in Fayetteville. And guys, it's not really a multiple choice or a poll question, as some would say, where there's percentages. But since it is the bye week, I was just curious to what the people felt like of Arkansas. What's the biggest thing they needed to work on during the bye week? And I eliminated getting healthy because I'm like, duh. Like, yes, that is important. So I eliminated that. But a few comments here. Alex says, Taylen going through progressions and correcting reads. Matthew says, please, God, fix the snap issues. Jeff says, over the middle throws and blitz pickups. And then Steven says, we got a lot of them, though, but it's like he says short yardage situations. You have a 250-pound back, so 1 to 2 yards shouldn't be that hard to get. So, and also a red zone offense is a big one for people.
That's where I was gonna go. Yeah, red zone offense for sure. Finish those damn drives, man.
Yeah, finding a way to get Andrew Armstrong in the end zone should be priority number one. I also think Arkansas's pass rush has made some progress here in the last few weeks. Like, they've been doing a good job of timing blitzes and getting to the quarterbacks in creative ways. I think that needs to continue to be a point of emphasis, especially, if this Arkansas team's going to end up playing with leads. I think it'd be a big deal if Arkansas, because Arkansas is one of those teams with their defense and the way they play. If Arkansas gets up 10-0 on you, which I know they blew a huge lead against Oklahoma State, but in that game they couldn't really get any pass rush. If Arkansas is one of those teams where that pass rush continues to make progress, it's a dangerous team where it's like you fall behind early and it's like, crap, there's no room for error against this Arkansas team, because now they're getting after the quarterback, and the way that secondary is playing, the way the linebackers fly around, it can get pretty daunting. And so I think if Arkansas is able to kind of improve their pass rush, continue to make progress there in that red zone offense, man, I think Arkansas just becomes a team that you can't make a ton of mistakes against. And I think they're kind of there already.
Well, I was also seeing, everyone talking about red zone offense, which I agree with, and in short yardage situations. That's one of those things. It's like, what do you do in practice, to do that? It's not like this super secret type of drill that you do that'll fix your red zone problems. A lot of it's just in-game situations. And I'm not saying that Arkansas doesn't need to fix it because they do, but sometimes also the other team just makes a play. Sometimes that does happen.
That was the case. Sorry, that was the case with Tennessee for sure. Because it was easy to point out, man, missed opportunity here, missed opportunity there, but it was also a pretty salty defense. They're gonna make plays, and Tennessee's defense is probably gonna win those situations more often than not. But yeah, and to the point of some of those comments there that you're reading off, a lot of what people are saying and responding with goes hand in hand with executing in the red zone, proper reads. Maybe not. I don't really buy into the progressions thing as much because I really don't think it goes as deep as people might think it does. But the reads for sure, because there were some pull or nah situations where Taylen just flat out made the wrong decision, especially in the first half. And that's some of the stuff that they could probably clean up.
Yeah, I mean, just everything gets tighter down there where it's there's less margin for error with everything you do offensively. And I like this comment from Hayden, our guy Hayden Short. He says, the biggest concern I may have for the Hogs at this point is the fourth quarter run defense. For some reason, teams get 50% of their total rushing yards on us in the fourth. Well, that is not a coincidence. That's what happens whenever you play 6 D linemen for 70 snaps a game. And so it just seems like Arkansas does tend to kind of wear down in some of those situations. And so I think creating more depth overall, and I mean, offensively, not as big of a point of emphasis, but if they can continue to find maybe 1-2 more defensive linemen that they can lean on a little bit more. And we're now at that point in the year where it's halfway through. You've had a bye week where maybe some guys who aren't in the rotation can work their way up. If there's anybody on that D lineman in that second, third unit that wants to step up and be a dude, now would be the time to do it, because Arkansas could really use some help there, and especially because they stay pretty healthy up front on D line. But they're one injury away from being in a rough situation.
Yeah, defensive tackle too, for sure, man. Quincy Rhodes is starting to come on. He's really, there are guys who are out there and getting reps, and sometimes you just don't notice them. Quincy Rhodes is he's popped a few times in recent games, especially the other night. But yeah, in the interior, Kiwi Rose, he's fine. You see Ian Jafard and even Danny Saili in there a little bit, but just maybe not quite yet.
Cardio machines.
Yeah.
Also, what do y'all think of this from Jacoda? It says on SEC Now this morning, it says Arkansas will win every game remaining on their schedule that they win the turnover battle in as well. There's some belief in this. Do you guys buy that? Is it as simple as that?
No.
I don't buy that either.
It certainly helps.
I mean, you would be undefeated right now if you won the turnover battle in those 2 games that you lost.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The only problem I have with that is that they're going to face some teams that are really juggernauts, which, I mean, frankly, I would have considered Tennessee a juggernaut as well. So, I mean, something to be said for that. But also, teams that win the turnover battle win football games at a high rate anyway. So it's I don't know if that's that bold of a claim.
Yeah, I don't think it's bold. And it's just, I mean, it's one of the biggest deals that you can have. But even if Arkansas turned over Texas twice and they only had 1 turnover, I don't think, that's a dub. I don't think that's going to, now, if you don't turn the ball over once, like Arkansas did against Tennessee, and don't have 0 turnovers, then yeah, if you get the other team to turn you over, because that's another thing too. Tennessee didn't turn the ball over. So you got to just hope that the other team makes a mistake in that guard. Which actually brings up to another thing I wanted to do, because somebody, one of our listeners, DM'd me this the other day, and they were just wanting to know if we ever do a power ranking of SEC teams. And I was like, well, not really. I mean, we kind of do just official ones where we think, but I was just curious to ask everybody, where you guys think, and it could be just a number or who's above, but not the actual rankings, but power rankings. Where do you think Arkansas ranks in the SEC right now? Because you got, just to give a breakdown right now where it's at, you got A&M at 3-0, LSU at 1-0, Texas 1-0, Georgia and Arkansas both 2-1, and then you have a bunch of teams 1-1, and then South Carolina, Kentucky 1-2, and then offers are Mississippi State and Auburn.
I would really need to think about this for a bit, but I think upper middle of the pack maybe. 7, 6.
Well, how about this? This is kind of what I like, how I do it for the rankings is you name a team, and then if you're like Arkansas for sure is better than that team, then that's what you put above, like just like first like instinct. So obviously we can all agree that Arkansas is better than Auburn, right?
Yes.
Better Mississippi State, better than Kentucky, better than South Carolina, better than Florida, better than Oklahoma, better than Vanderbilt.
I'll go better than Vanderbilt.
I think so.
Okay, yeah,
I
I'll go
think
better.
Arkansas and Vanderbilt each have one very notable win, of course. You could argue Vandy's is more impressive, but I think Arkansas's resume outside of their one big win is still better than Vanderbilt's, who somehow has a worse loss than Arkansas.
Yeah, they won that Virginia Tech game, which was good for them. But then, who they lose to? Georgia State. Yeah, that's tough.
Here are the teams. Now, I'm going to go the exact opposite of what John did. Here are the teams I'm sure that Arkansas is not above in my power rankings. A&M, Texas, Georgia. I'm not going to go LSU. They're not definitively. LSU's probably above them just because they're 1-0 and they haven't really been tested as much yet. We'll find out more about them this weekend.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give Ole Miss the nod over Arkansas here because just their overall. I mean, even though they haven't beaten anybody yet.
Yeah. Did you say Alabama?
I would say Alabama over Arkansas as well.
Okay, I didn't know if you'd listen. Yeah. Okay.
5 or 6 teams that I've said are definitively better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got A&M, Texas, Georgia, Bama, Ole Miss are the 5 definitively better, is what you said, right?
Yeah.
And right now, I think Arkansas is a better team than who are those? Who are all the 1-1 teams?
The 1-1 teams are Missouri. You got Missouri, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida.
So, I mean, right now
I'd put over Arkansas.
And then there's a conversation to be had there.
No, there's definitely a conversation to be had. I think Missouri and LSU are actually pretty similar, where like you probably give them the benefit of the doubt over Arkansas, but I'm not going to argue anybody too aggressively on it.
You could probably argue, like you could make a case probably like 6 through 9 or something. But
for sure,
coming off that win, the high end of that. Yeah.
I'm going to put them at 7 in my unofficial rankings that I'm not going to do the rest of the rankings for. I'm putting Arkansas at 7.
There you go.
Well, I put Arkansas at 6th, and only the reason being is the teams that you guys named of A&M, Texas, Georgia, Bama, and Ole Miss. I for sure have them better than.
Hey, Pooh Bear's back, by the way, guys.
All right.
Was he
Pooh Bear's
gone?
back. He says Arkansas would smoke Georgia.
Relax.
Well, you're smoking something. I can tell you that.
So you think Arkansas doesn't have they don't have a playable quarterback, but they also would smoke Georgia? Is that what we're going with?
We got to relax, guys. We got to relax on this. Come on now. Let's be realistic here. I think A&M, Texas, Georgia, Bama, Ole Miss are better. And the only reason that I have say like Arkansas is better than Missouri right now is because Missouri got just smoked by A&M, and they don't really have a win to, like outset their set off that one. So
yeah,
at least Arkansas beating Tennessee is huge, and that's why I still have them, of course, above like Oklahoma. A team like Florida, who's kind of like 3-2 as well. So yeah, I got them at 6th, and they have a chance, as we'll see, to pass up that if they're able to beat. Because I even have them above LSU, which I know is another thing that may be controversial. But the reason I have them is because LSU's best win so far this year is South Carolina, and
which they needed a missed field goal to do.
Yeah, and so they
beat them.
USC
beat them.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
They don't have LSU's 1-0 in SEC play. They've only played one conference game.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And also power rankings are a little bit of a like what have you done for me lately type of thing. Yep. And Arkansas's last 2 games are a very close loss against the number 1 team in the league, which they really should have won, and a huge win over one of the top teams in the league. So, I mean, if you're going with the recency bias, I think Arkansas over Missouri makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So 6th, 7th, 8th in that range, kind of what we feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go 6 right now.
Top half of the league team.
Yeah. Just imagine us a week ago saying, "Hey, you guys are going to say Arkansas is the 6th ranked team in power rankings in the SEC next week." Be like, "No, we're not." I mean, maybe in basketball for media days, but not for football. But that's where it's at right now. SEC is a pretty crazy thing. Let's go to the chats, to a few other chats to bring in. Where'd it go? Oh yeah, like from Art Broken Hog. He's like, Andrew Armstrong's dad wouldn't lie to us. We were going undefeated the rest of the way. Yeah, which again, that was a really cool thing, folks. If you missed that, it's on our YouTube page and Inside Arkansas. But both Mama and Papa Armstrong called into our live stream show yesterday, and talked to us and had a lot of confidence. It's a really cool thing. So yeah, really appreciate them. Jeff was over here saying, he's like, I think they are noticing that Arkansas's defense is stout enough that the offense does just enough to win, and it's a win. So I'd agree with that. Mm-hmm. And then also, I wanted to bring this up, and I'm glad he brought up, because then that made me forget. He's like, has Anton Junekaj become a bust trying to transition from Albany? Now, I'm not saying this is a bust, but I will admit in my own mind, I think Anton Junekaj has not lived up to what I was hoping he would be so far this year.
That's a way more PC way to put it. Yeah.
Yes.
They're just kids. We don't call people busts. That's not what we do. Having said that, yes.
Yeah.
He has not lived up to that expectation. That's all it is. Rob also says, and he means Taylen. I get it, man. Autocorrect gets me too.
Yeah.
Taylen is learning so fast. Just 2 weeks ago, the D-backs were watching his eyes lead the pass all damn day. Cut to next week, he is leading the D-backs away from his pass with his eyes. So
I mean, dude, aside from just the production of what he did, I thought the Tennessee game was a massive step in the right direction in terms of him just kind of knowing what he wanted to do with the football and knowing and like being confident in his decisions and doing all that. I mean, he definitely didn't look like a guy who was rattled and was kind of second guessing himself. And, I don't know what exactly led to that. If it was just a great week of practice, he was very prepped for that Tennessee defense or whatever, but man, he had a lot of confidence and was driving the ball down the field, man. It was a massive step in the right direction for sure.
It just makes you wonder, like, what was it? What changed in a week? Was it Petrino telling him to do a certain thing? Was it just pass plays he was comfortable with? Was it just him being mad that he performed poorly against Texas A&M and being motivated? Like, I always wonder, like, what it was that just sparked him and changed him so much, because he looked like night and day, comparatively speaking.
Definitely.
Also, Rob, to answer your other question about Junekaj in camp, no. He was banged up a lot of the offseason, so we really didn't get to see him a ton. But even going back to the spring, I remember being, like, underwhelmed, like, kind of surprised.
He had one scrimmage. Yeah, he had one scrimmage where he got a couple touch sacks because obviously they weren't hitting the quarterback, and we were like, okay. But literally most of the spring, not much going on there. And then, like you mentioned, I think he was in maybe I don't want to say this, I'm not sure. I think he was in protocol, but he was definitely injured for a while to start camp. So,
well, and like every time, how camp works, where when you ask a coach directly, hey, how does so and so look? They're going to give you an answer of like, yeah, he's great or whatever. But I think there was never a time where like they were like, hey, who's flashing? And people were like, oh, yeah, Junekaj, he's flashing. Like, not only that never really happened.
Nothing like that. Tell you what, because we have a few other segments we'll get into, folks. Again, if you want in on the chat or on the phone lines, 478-344-6623. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of what's more likely here on Inside Arkansas, presented by BetSaracen. And BetSaracen, of course, is the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. Not even close. And if you're betting on any other app, you're doing it wrong. It's the BetSaracen app. And also, as a fun reminder, on Sunday, we're going to be doing a live stream. That's right, Sunday, live from the Saracen Casino Resort and their sports book for the Tour of Arkansas, the tip-off tour, if you will, for Razorback basketball. They're going to be in Pine Bluff that day at 5 p.m., but we're going to be live streaming it starting at 1 p.m. at Saracen. So if you're going to be in the area, if you're going down to that, come hang out with us a little bit at Saracen, and get to hang out, and it'll be there. And after that, straight on to Birmingham for the SEC basketball media days. So yeah, we're going to, again, talking basketball a little bit. Yeah, talking basketball a little bit next week. Everybody just prepare, because
hopefully this was better than our last road trip.
What was wrong with our last road trip?
They had a really bad loss to Oklahoma State, and
we had to hitchhike home because we lost John.
As a tough. No. What I mean, it was a one-day trip, but I think we can top it.
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be any major like choke job losses in SEC media days. But then again, who knows? We are dealing with a lot of weird SEC coaches. So let's go ahead and get into what's more likely here. Just a few of them. And here's the thing, folks. Like, I keep forgetting to mention this when we do this. If you want to have us do a what's more likely for your own, you can just hit us in the chat and we'll try to read it, if it's a good one at least, because a lot of times mine aren't. But either way. All right, what's more likely? Arkansas to win all of their SEC games or lose all of their games, including Louisiana Tech?
I mean, he just came right out of the gates with the heat,
Had to start somewhere.
The answer is win.
I think
Like
so.
it is, right?
Now I'll be different. I'll say lose all the games, including Tech.
Dude, there ain't no way in hell they're losing Louisiana Tech.
There wasn't no way in hell they were going to lose several games, and they did. We know,
Fair.
and we've seen the weird flatness at home before. Louisiana Tech did, and I know they suck, but Louisiana Tech did put a hell of a scare into NC State on the road early in the year, so a power program. Screwing that up. Okay, Arkansas wins one damn game, and everybody forgets what they've done for years now. Screwing that up is more likely than beating Texas and Ole Miss and LSU and winning at Missouri for the first time ever. And so that's where I'm going.
Direct quote from Curtis Wilkerson. Papa Armstrong is a liar. That's pretty much what you're saying here.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, clip it where you guys say it's like, I think they're going to win out. It's like, oh, that's it. Yeah, they're going to win out. That's it. I actually think that it's more likely that they win out just because, not because I believe it, but just again, that's what we're playing the game for. What's more likely? I just don't see this team going 4-8 this year.
What's nice though, because we do this what's more likely every week, and it's always a great segment. At the beginning of the year, we would always just go the opposite, where we were like, neither of these things are going to happen, but you got to go with the negative one just because that's kind of more, quote unquote, more likely. Now we've come full circle where we're like, yeah, Arkansas winning out is just more likely than whatever. And so it's we've matured as a program, as a show. It's cool.
All right, this one is going to probably trigger some people, but what's more likely? Luke has to have a 100-yard receiving game, or Andrew Armstrong to not score a touchdown this season?
That's a great one. There's no way, right? I mean, now look, let's just knock on wood, and we're not even going to mention the thing that could happen that could ensure that Andrew Armstrong doesn't score a touchdown. If Andrew Armstrong plays in every game, I really do not see how he goes touchdownless throughout the year.
I was going to say, this is on where both guys are healthy and playing. So, we're not going to entertain that part, but yeah, that one.
Yeah. Sure.
Go with that?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay. Yeah. I think
Luke has had a 100-yard game in his career before, right?
Yeah, against LSU.
He had 100 against LSU last year. I definitely look, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to be expecting Luke has to be having that breakout game anytime soon. I'm done predicting it to happen. But I think I could see a case for it more than I could Andrew Armstrong is going to finish with 1,300 yards and 0 touchdowns.
Hey, well, just, we mentioned what game Luke has had 100 yards last year. Who are they playing next? That might be the team that he has circled.
Hey, you're spitting now. You're spitting.
How about this? What's more likely, Hogs to beat an SEC opponent by 3 scores, or Hogs to get beat by an SEC opponent by 5 scores?
They should probably beat Mississippi State by 3 scores.
Yeah.
And that defense is too good to get blasted by 35 or whatever, right? I think,
Texas. Yeah. Texas is a wagon, so it's like I could see Texas putting it on anybody, including Arkansas. But yeah, I mean, we're saying they'd had to beat Arkansas 42-7 or whatever.
Yeah.
I think Arkansas is probably going to beat LSU 31-10 and go ahead and clinch this one up next week.
So you think that I don't know. I don't think I'm still at the point where no game's going to be a blowout for Arkansas. They're not going to beat anybody that much. And if they do, it's probably going to be Ole Miss. It's probably just something random because that's what they do. It's just going to be a random team.
I will say I actually don't think they're going to beat Mississippi State by 3 scores, simply because it would be too obvious. That's the worst team they play. That's kind of the one you would chalk it up to. Road game. I don't know if I necessarily see Arkansas getting fired up for that one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're admitting that they don't get up to play bad teams, and then we're ruling out that they could lose to Louisiana. Got it. Okay.
I am ruling out that they lose to Louisiana Tech. Hell, I'm not even saying Mississippi State's going to beat them. I'm just saying I wouldn't be stunned if Arkansas didn't blow out Mississippi State.
Man, I would hope
I don't even think they're going to get up for the Louisiana Tech game. I just they would also have to literally lose out. So it's I don't know. I think that's still it's a little bit different.
It'd have to be nice. I just would be nice to watch a game in the SEC and it not be stressful. You win by 3 scores. It was nice.
Last time Arkansas beat an SEC team by 3 scores? Do we have that?
Pretty sure it was Ole Miss 2022.
Although they didn't end up beating them by 3 scores. It ended up being 42-28 or something like that.
Really? I thought it ended up being 3
It was
scores.
42-6 at the end of the third quarter, but I could be wrong. I think Ole Miss backdoored that a little bit.
Maybe it just seemed like it was a game that they just destroyed them in because they ended up they ended up 42-27. So yeah, you're right. It ended up being closer than that. So definitely wasn't in 2022.
And it was the same for Auburn when they played them a couple weeks before that. It was like
Are we counting Texas of 2021? They weren't in the SEC yet.
Yes.
On it, you know what's crazy? The last time they did it was Missouri in 2021. They won
36, wasn't it?
No, 34-17.
Mm.
In 2021 when they beat Missouri. I forgot that they worked them over that well. But,
Dude, imagine in that moment right then when Arkansas was getting their 8th win of the year and beating a 4-8 Missouri team that we were like, in 3 years, Missouri's going to be a freaking top 10 in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how things go and how things change. This one's just kind of a random one, but what's more likely, Arkansas to get into the top 20 or Texas to win the SEC? Which one of those is more likely?
Top 20. So if Arkansas beats, what are the next couple games for Arkansas? LSU and then who?
Mississippi State.
I mean, they might be top 20 at that point.
Although, you know what the issue here is? I think Texas is like minus 200 to win the SEC.
Who all do they have left?
Texas.
Yeah, Texas actually, like low-key has an insane schedule and I don't feel bad for them, but I actually do kind of feel like, geez. So they have Oklahoma this weekend, which you never know with that crap.
Yeah.
Then they have Georgia, and they got Vandy, Florida, then Arkansas, Kentucky, and then they finish the season at Texas A&M. So actually, wasn't Texas. I was thinking it had the great schedule, but yeah, it's not very great.
Yeah, when in Texas's schedule, it's like this upcoming stretch is it. Like they haven't played anybody yet. Like I think Mississippi State's their only SEC game. Yeah, I mean, I think Arkansas is I wouldn't say a safe bet to get into the top 20. This is a great question.
It's got to beat LSU.
Right. It literally comes down to that.
Yeah. I'll stick with that.
I actually, that's especially because like when you're taking the field in the SEC. Also, are we counting? Is this like tournament or not tournament? SEC championship?
Yeah, like winning the SEC. Like, not regular season. Like winning, being the
Georgia
SEC
could
champion.
beat Texas in that game. Bama could beat Texas in that game. Tennessee, Ole Miss. Like, I'm good to take the field there. I'll go Arkansas top 20.
Yeah. Also, just a side note of that, I feel like, and it makes me mad when there's no such thing as winning the SEC regular season in football to me. There's no such thing as that. You win you're the SEC champion by winning the championship game because you don't play everybody. So you can't say, oh, we're the SEC regular season champ when you didn't play everybody. It's just one of my side notes that I get in basketball, I get in baseball and all that, but football, no, you're not. There's no such thing as the SEC regular season champ. Yeah, you have to be the SEC champ. That's what matters. So yeah, there you have it. One of our chatters from David says, what's more likely, Arkansas makes the college football playoff or Arkansas basketball makes the Final Four this year? We all know exactly what that answer is. Come on, dude.
I still think it's basketball.
Yeah.
San Antonio or bust.
Yeah. Which is
Arkansas just simply not lost to a bad Oklahoma State team. I actually would have really thought about that one for a second.
If they were undefeated right now, I might be saying playoff. I think I would be. But
no shit.
Well, I know, but it's like if they're
6-0 and ranked 5th in the country, yeah, I'm sure I'd take that one too.
But it's like still like even as it's more of because of football, like you still have Texas, you still have Ole Miss, you still have all that in your schedule, and we know how like crucial that is to have there. But like with basketball, I mean, as everyone knows, it's a crapshoot in that NCAA tournament. So
and I will say, I mean, like it's not like we're all like guaranteeing that Arkansas basketball makes the Final Four. Like I think they're, I wouldn't say I'd be stunned, but like it's far from like a lock with any team, even if you're the best team in the country. But I think, but if they were undefeated right now in football, they could pretty much afford to lose those Ole Miss and Texas games.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, so another old fun segment that we started doing. I even have a little graphic for it. It's Remember Whensday. So I like to remember
berries. The member berries are there
from South Park because I got a few ones that just popped into my mind here, and some of them have to do with, not all of them have to do with Arkansas. Some of them don't, but one of the ones was when. Do you remember when people wanted Sam Pittman fired? because now it seems like that talk has ceased. I still think there might be some out there that want that, but it seemed like there for a week or two, it was nonstop. Just,
buddy.
Yep.
I remember.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember for sure. And also, like, I've seen a lot of people saying that, kind of like being like, oh, isn't it crazy? It's like, dude, it wasn't that crazy, frankly. Like, it just wasn't.
No.
But you got to give credit to Sam Pittman for holding strong and making the right moves, man. Like, what he's done, dude, it's undeniably impressive. The fact that it's rare that you see that, a coach get that close to the hot seat and being like first odds to be fired and then turning it around. If Sam Pittman's able to successfully do it, which he seems like he's pretty much done, very impressive. And shout out to Billy Napier, by the way, who we've ragged on a good bit because he's kind of in that same boat where he's in danger of like turning it around and surviving.
Yeah, they've kind of been balling out a little bit too. Sam Pittman was still a little, I don't know, tame in his post game. Like that wasn't a fire and brimstone situation, but just I thought he'd be a little bit more smiles and he likes to joke with Bob a little bit. I thought I'd see more of that, but he's just very much. I think that's part of the shtick, though, because one of the first things he said was we were they're happy but not surprised or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's just
the
book.
Also,
I wish he was happier for himself.
Yeah, pat yourself, especially with the bye week coming up. If I knew I had a bye week coming up, I'd be acting a fool.
Oh man,
I was trying to hope that he gives a laugh like he did against that post Mississippi State win, where he just just cracked up laughing in the press conference. I want to see that again.
One of the best Pittman moments ever.
Oh shoot.
Second only to when they beat Ole Miss in that not 3-score game. I think I'm gonna have me an old cold beer. That's kind of what I like to do.
Mm-hmm. Not promoting now. So yeah, that was great. Speaking of, this is another non-Arkansas one, but you brought up his name. And this is my personal one. I'm saying everybody, but you remember when I thought that LSU was dumb for passing on Billy Napier as head coach? Because I was that person. I thought that I was like, man, because Billy Napier was at, I guess, Louisiana at the time. Wasn't called
call them ULL. Do not call them Louisiana ever.
Is it again. It's still the Raging Cajuns though, right?
They're the Raging Cajuns.
Okay, cool.
And their school website still says UL Lafayette. Don't let them lie to you and tell
they tried.
Louisiana.
They tried. It's kind of like saying UALR is as Little Rock. It's like, no, you're UALR. But like I felt that I was like, I remember when I thought, well, when LSU passed on and we went to 4, I was like, man, they're going to regret that. It's going to be a terrible thing for them. No, I think it's one that they missed out on. And I'm not saying Brian Kelly's perfect, but definitely could have been a lot worse. And another one
who I thought LSU shouldn't have passed on, Tom Herman back in the day.
Yeah.
They basically passed on Tom Herman to hire Ed O. And I remember being like, that is the dumbest move a freaking program could make. And it's not like Ed O turned out to be this star or anything, but I mean, they won a national title and Tom Herman is now the freaking like 3-3 coach at FAU. Did not end up being like the prodigy that he was supposed to be. But I remember at the time being like so nervous that LSU was going to get Tom Herman. And I'm still nervous that LSU is eventually going to end up with Lane Kiffin. That's my nightmare scenario.
You think that they would go with that? You think Lane Kiffin, LSU would be a thing?
Best fit of all time. Lane, you want to talk about culture fits? And we always say Brian Kelly's not a culture fit. Lane Kiffin is a culture fit for LSU. That's like you cannot let those two things get together.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe Ed Orgeron was actually the best culture fit. He just wasn't maybe more the culture of the state and the area.
That is true. He is. He was a good culture fit. I mean, he kind of embraced it perfectly.
Another one is again is more of the basketball side of things. But I remember when I felt like Eric Musselman was going to have this team in the Final Four this past year. And this got brought up to me by a friend because he showed me a tweet that I had, and it was like saying, I just see this team Final Four or bust type thing. And it was like, man, looks back upon it. And it's like, I guess it's like an accountability thing, but at the same time, it's pretty humbling. We're like, man, that was a stupid thing, I thought. So yeah, a few of those.
That was a mess. A lot of people thought that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good transfer thing.
Curtis, do you remember when you and I a year ago, or almost exactly a year ago, did a season predictions piece? And we had like a bold predictions part of it. And I said that last year was going to be the best regular season Arkansas had under Eric Musselman. I thought they were going to win like 25 games. And I actually said the whole thing about how I went on this whole rant about how I was like, all of Mus's teams go through this weird transition in December, January, but this group's got a bunch of older guys. they're not going to need to do that. Like, this is going to be the best regular season.
Yeah.
season
And then they
under
won that
Bud.
Purdue game, and it kind of validated everything. Like, oh, they're ahead of schedule, you know?
Exactly. It
could have been worse.
just tells you what we know.
You could have had him winning 30 regular season games like me.
Yikes.
30?
30. I had him winning
30?
30. Because I was like, man, they're not going to lose these certain games. And it's like, yeah, they'll go start like, 0-2 in SEC play or something like that, 1-2, and then they'll get it going. Because I was like, the SEC's not that good this year. Well, got humbled really quickly in that. Michelle wanted to get in on it. She says, remember when Ellis had a shaved head? I don't remember Ellis having a shaved head. Do you have a shaved head?
I think she means beard. She had said beard earlier, or somebody had said beard. I'm
Okay.
guessing that's what
Buzz
she meant.
cut? Do you have like was it a short hair thing?
I definitely didn't have a buzz cut, but I had short hair though. Like whenever I first met Michelle, I was still a young boy with
Because
hope in his eyes,
Young
optimism.
lad.
well, I think a shaved head. Like I was thinking, like you got like a Gillette razor, and I was like,
Yeah, no.
he's looking like he's from the Dadgum movie with
You have to be oddly specific in everything you say, Michelle. So
Yeah, I have a widow's peak, like a really bad widow's peak. So you're never gonna see me with a buzz cut. I'd be looking like Dracula, looking like Big Z, low key.
She said, she said short hair, but yeah, okay. I was just wanted to bring that up because I'm like, I do not remember a shaved head on Ellis, but maybe that was the case.
I don't remember when I introduced myself to you as a fan. Right before the Rice game in 2021, I walked up to John in his Hawaiian shirt and I was like, "Hey, Mr. Neighbors, I've been a huge fan of your work for years. I just got hired by Trey Biddy at Hog Sports." And then you didn't remember it whenever I brought it up to you.
I don't. If I was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, I was not going to remember that day. That's usually how it's go to.
Season opener, so it's like you're probably doing good.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I mean, it's. I feel that's one of the things I do feel bad in because there was a kid, and this is a side note, but there was a kid that I ran into on Saturday night, and he comes up to me and he's screaming in my ear because it's so loud there on Dixon Street, and he was just like, "Do you remember me?" That's all he kept asking. "Do you remember me?" I was like, "I don't." He's like, "You do not remember my name?" I'm like, "Man, I don't." And he goes, "You kidding me? You don't remember my name?" I'm like, "I don't remember you. If you just want to tell me who you are." And he was like so pissed. He was drunk, but he was like so pissed off that I couldn't remember. I'm like, dude, I can't remember my own dog's name sometimes. Like you gotta give me some credit here. So I like this. Some people are getting there. You remember when John Fanta had his preseason pick of the win the Natty? Yep.
Do you remember that?
That old takes exposed.
Yeah, that one was rough. I think that's actually what I based my 30 wins regular season on, was when that came out. Shout out to Witty for a sponsored chat. Had to have some sort of joke. Remember when Broden caught one of 37 passes this year?
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
work from Witty. I mean, it's good
Well, he
stuff
does.
consistently. Y'all remember when I think it was Bleacher Report in 2012 picked Arkansas to win the national title in football?
Yep.
I remember because
remember
that was back in the day when I thought Bleacher Report was like the standard, and I was like, "Yo, they picked Arkansas to win the Natty. This is we're golden. We're golden."
Yeah.
But also, Curtis, I think you'd appreciate. I have a remember when. Remember when we were really been out of shape about whether or not the SEC was going to let Arkansas hire Will Wade?
Yeah.
We were like, is it going to be Jerome Tang or Will Wade? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
That was a rough 36 hours.
I absolutely remember that. And we were still having those discussions actively as Cal was being announced. Like we were in the middle of that because it was crazy, man. People forget the struggle that was that coaching surge until it turns out it was just brilliant all along. That was nuts, dude.
You want to talk about, and again, it just adds to the roller coaster 2024
Oh my gosh, man.
that Hunter Yurachek has had. Because you want to talk about a public PR low. About 3 hours before the Cal thing happened, people hated Hunter Yurachek so much.
Yeah. You remember when the day before Cal got announced as a hire that it got leaked that Darrell Walker and Chris Jans were both interviewing? That was a low point. That was the low point of 2024.
That was just Bob doing his guy solid, though. That's different.
I was like,
Chris Jans ain't his guy.
Yeah, no, Chris Jans ain't his guy, and I think that's where we were really we were trying to talk ourselves into just anything, man. It was a low.
I was really scared during that time because I'm like, if Razorback fans know what happens if you lose a good coach and it's hard to get out of that purgatory if you don't get it right. Like you're going to go, Nolan Richardson leaves and then you were just sailing along for over a decade. It was a tough thing that anyone had to put up with, but yeah, glad that's not the case. Let's see. I think we have a caller. I'm going to wait for him to screen himself so I can know who it is. But there's also this question, I guess, when y'all start. It says, honest opinion from y'all, if Arkansas was undefeated, would they be top 10 right now? Knowing that the Hogs doesn't get respect nationally, only lost by two scores combined and not in the top 25.
Yes, they would be in the top 10.
It would definitely be. I get the idea that like people think that like the national folks have it out for Arkansas. I know it's easy to be like, I know they lost those 2 games, but losing those 2 games matter a lot. Like I think losing to Oklahoma State, who's clearly not good, is a big reason why they're not ranked right now.
They would have been ranked
in the
after
A&M
winning the Oklahoma State game and just continue to climb.
No, yeah, I mean, like that's what I was gonna say. Is like even if you just took away that game and if they were 4-1 when they lost to Texas A&M, I think you're looking at like a top 15 to 20 Arkansas team for sure. And I did just pull up the rankings real quick. The lowest ranked undefeated team is Pittsburgh at 22. They're 5-0, but they have legit not played anybody. Indiana, shout out to Coach Sig. He's 6-0 and he's number 18. You got BYU at 14 and they beat Kansas State. So you could kind of make an argument they'd be higher, but Arkansas would have a better win than any of those. I mean, they do have a better win than any of those teams. And just given who they've played, Arkansas would be 3-0 in SEC play with 2 very good wins. Like, I don't know how Arkansas would probably be in like number 6 or 7. Like they would be way up there. I don't think Arkansas being unranked right now is due to people not respecting them. It's more just you lost to a really bad team.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
Which is hard to overlook.
Kingsley, to answer your question about Arkansas having good post-up guards with passing ability, watch Nelly Davis FAU highlights, and then keep an eye on DJ Wagner for that too.
Yeah, you thought Jalen Tate posting up smaller guards was fun.
Nelly's got the bag.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. I believe this is Jack in Florida. We're gonna go with it. What's up, Jack?
How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Okay. Like, I really enjoy your show.
Thanks.
Just thinking about some names you might call basketball threes with the Slobber Hog logo. Now, it's kind of wild, but you start off with a snout, SNOUT 3. If he shoots from that distance, the snout on the hog, and also, even further back, a slobber 3.
I like that.
I like that
too. And also
the drool.
And also on the other end, a curly tail 3 or just a tail 3 of the hog. Incorporate some type of threes, the distance with the front and back of the hog. Just a thought. Really enjoy your show.
Hey.
Not only do I like that, they should do that, and it's a 4-pointer if you make it. You know, just give them a little bit of extra love from it. We're definitely going to hear a from the snout from someone.
Yeah,
that's a good phrase.
Yeah,
well, they used to do it. This is showing my age. They used to do that when Al Dillard against Delaware State in 1993 broke the record at the time for most threes made in a game at 12 or 13. He had 13 threes. That was the thing, as they said, he'd line up and shoot it from the pig snout. That's what they said. But now that it's back, it would be nice to do it. But I don't know how many shots. I thought he was going to go into be like, hey, if you make an elbow jumper or whatever from the Tyson Foods logo, it's going to be from Tyson, or from the Walmart.
$1,000 into your NIL.
The Tyson logo it's inside the 3-point line.
Yeah.
That's it. Like Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis used to love draining jumpers from like that range. We'll get the Tyson jumper working.
Mm-hmm. Like Ja'Cory Williams range right there. You know,
we need to have like Tyson pull-ups.
You know, they give away the nuggets or whatever for certain things. I can't remember what the deal is, but it should be maybe Razorback nuggets if you knock down a jumper from that, or like there's a certain number that you hit from there. And then you'll just see the guys going rogue on the plays and trying to get over to that spot and knock down a shot.
Well, it's also it's in the area where the nerds have determined we're not allowed to take shots anymore.
That's a fact.
You know, so it's like one of those, like it's a win-win. It's either you take the shot and it's like, oh, but it was for the chicken though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait till somebody hits like a game winner right there, and then Tyson or Walmart's just going to be like, one of them's going to be pissed and be like, oh man, why wasn't it on our side of the court? Because that's another thing too, is Arkansas always goes on that side. So their second half is always going to be on the side of Tyson. So if Arkansas hits a game winner, you're never going to see it. We'll see Walmart there.
I wonder if the beige Walmart logo is why they decided to have it that way. They were like, we can't have game winners on this off-white logo.
Yeah, can't do that. Can't do that. We just got a few minutes left. I had this up here, and I wanted y'all's thoughts on it because it's like, can you guys get membership tier for YouTube so we can pay monthly or buy memberships for others? I mean, yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, if people would want to do that, it'd be a great way to support the cause here at Inside Arkansas. But we're not going to force anybody to be like, oh, you can only get our super secretive stuff if you do that. Like, we want to make our content available for everybody, you know. And we're not trying to do something like, hey, if you have this membership, then therefore we're going to be the slobber hog on the court. You know, that ain't our thing. You know, we appreciate it, but it's not required. It's kind of like giving to church. You know, it's like when you give the, it's like the stuff that you've been prospered. It's like, no, it's not solicitation, but if you desire to give, you may do so. That's all it is.
Just give your buddy $75 and say, hey, man, use it in super chats.
Yeah.
Just a super chat fund.
Yeah. And by the way, if we did that, Timothy Long, I don't know what he would do. Just memberships. I mean, that dude's paid for everybody's membership by this point in time. Yeah. What he's been doing. So yeah, we'll just stick with the super chats. And who knows? Maybe one day, if there's some reason to, like a really legitimate reason to do that, we may look into it. And also, to be honest, if we do it, we're never gonna.
David, we did not miss your super chat. We did not miss your super chat.
Please cut yourself. Please cut yourself.
This is real deal. This is the real deal stuff right here.
I was really hoping for a blood stain somewhere on it. And
we get Mickey Mouse sword.
Yeah. Get that back. Yeah. There you go.
That's legit. Also, yeah, it says Honduras on here. Y'all see that? It's upside down, but it says Honduras.
So are you gonna like hang it up or anything, or are you just gonna just have it?
I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna do. It's got a cool little like thing, like where I can like hook it, so I can wear it. I can carry it around if I need to. Maybe
that's something we should start selling. Some Inside Arkansas swords, just to have some created for that.
There you go.
Actually, real quick, I wanted to we'll do this live because I don't really care. Let's see. There was this shirt that was a possibility for after the game, of course. Everybody was all excited about the game and all excited about all of that. See if I can find it real quick on the fly. For Arkansas beating Tennessee. And so I was curious of what people would think about this particular shirt. And if it was something cool or if it was something lame, you can always let me know. Don't worry. Hopefully I'm not posting a picture I'm not supposed to. So we're about to find out. But that's the picture right there. Be the back right there, because you can't say Arkansas. But I tried to do the little trolling of the Arkansas, you'll always be home sweet home to me. And yeah, something like that. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Sometimes it's really hard to do stuff that's not going to get you in trouble with the U of A. So
right. That is very hard.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, man, there's two things I wanted to get to with playing these videos, but I know we're kind of running out of time. You're going a tangent, but I don't know. We can save them for tomorrow. I'm sure nothing breaking news will be a big deal tomorrow. We can probably save it until then. So
tomorrow we get times and TV information for basketball, SEC basketball schedule.
That's right. That's right. And I saw
buy tickets and plan their viewing experience.
Yeah. And I see that the Dave Van Horn's doing a Zoom. Is that tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it is tomorrow to preview the action of the upcoming exhibition. People forget it's game week for the Diamond Hogs.
Yeah. Maybe bye week for the football team, but it's game week for the Diamond Hogs. And it's one that's very important because if they don't win, man, I can't wait for Arkansas to just crank out home runs and get like timely hits and all that stuff. And everyone's going to be like, oh, it's all good. And then if they don't do it in the regular season, people are going to be looking back. It was like, where was the hit in that fall exhibition game against Oklahoma State that one time? It's like, that's how people
remember when they pieced up the Texas Rangers instructional team a couple years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So they recreate that a little bit. And shout out to Jason Jones getting his revenge this weekend for Arkansas, letting him go. I'll be excited to see the Jones family, and I hope he has a great year. It's gonna be fun. And also Arkansas. Well, I guess they lost to him in Arlington last year, didn't they? Oklahoma State.
No, they did. They did. was about to say Oregon State, Oklahoma State got them mixed up because
It was the longest game in history.
Yeah, that killed our vibes in Arlington so bad because we didn't end up getting out of there till like 11:30, 12. It was not cool. So hopefully this goes better than that. But if Arkansas wins this one, I think they officially own Oklahoma State in baseball.
Yeah, I would agree there.
NCAA tournament wins didn't clinch it enough.
Yeah,
but if they win this, official.
That's what's going to change it. So excellent. Well, you guys got any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, man, I'm good. I'm happy. Slobber Hog's back. Everyone rejoice.
I'm happy as well. And I like that we're leaving the show on a cliffhanger. How John was like, "Yeah, we got some stuff, but we're going to save it for tomorrow."
I know what it is, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all hanging out with us on the bye week, by the way. I'm glad y'all didn't, and it helps when the team wins. But I mean, I'm glad that you guys are still kicking it with us day to day, and the show continues to be the best damn sports show in America.
That's right. That's what we hear from some people around people are saying, people are talking. I don't know why no one's talking about us being the number one sports show around, but they are. But either way, appreciate each and every one of you listening in, watching in to Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. You can also check out our great website where we have the latest and latest up-to-date information when it comes to all things Razorbacks at InsideArkansas.com. Leave a like on the video, and also check us out on our social medias at Inside Arkansas as well. But that does it for us. For Andrew Ellis, for Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow afternoon, have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.